Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news. Hope you're all doing very well. We've got not deal agreed, bloody hell, I'll be in trouble. Terms agreed with Lammens from Antwerp. Fabrizio Romano saying he only wants Manchester United. Man United now have to understand what deal can be done with Antwerp. There's mention of clubs from Germany and France and Italy and Spain, but ultimately it's the same story with Manchester United because we will always get this deal done when the player is going to choose Manchester United. We've seen it with Šeško, we've seen it with Mbeumo, we've seen it with Cunha. When the player has chosen Manchester United, the deal gets done. And you can criticise us, you can criticise United, you can criticise the fact that we might not be getting a midfielder, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You can criticise the fact that maybe some of these transfers are a little bit late in the window. But what you can't criticise is that when we go for a player, we make sure that we're the priority before we do anything else. And as per Fabrizio Romano, Lammens has said yes to Manchester United. Talks are well underway with Antwerp and the goalkeeper will cost around £17 million. Negotiations are advancing. He said yes to United. No talks with Man City. Talks well underway with fee close to £20 million. There is a little bit of other stuff coming in as well. But Belieber didn't get done. The chat's popping off very, very quickly. Belieber didn't get done. You're absolutely correct. And I don't negotiate the deals with Manchester United. But what we cannot dispute, and if you listen back to what I said, is that when Man United go for players this summer, we make sure that we are their only priority. And we are their only priority. So that is where we are with that. Also, just a couple of other bits to bring in. Ben Jacobs is saying that Man United have advanced this afternoon. Talks on club and player side resumed on Thursday and it's moving quickly. He is the one that Manchester United want if a goalkeeper arrives this summer. We'll talk about that. And the Athletic is saying Man United are advancing. A new goalkeeper had not been on the agenda at Old Trafford unless Andre Onana was sold. But that position has changed in light of the opening weekend by Arsenal. I don't know that I agree with that. I think that I saw a Manchester Evening News journalist who Ruben Amorim doesn't like. He was sort of trying to make out Man United won't sign a first choice goalkeeper. Look, the goalkeeping situation is a mess, and it's been a mess way before the Arsenal game. Yes, that is Bayern Leipzig shirts behind me because we are doing Bayern Leipzig. Straight after this, the live stream will be there. You can join us over there. I'm looking forward to that. But we are here talking about United at the moment. I think there's a bit of mistruth here. I think that what has happened with United is that they've always wanted to replace Onana, going back as far as, we got it in March in the international break. It was probably a decision that was made a lot before that, if we're being completely honest. I think that what you've got to bear in mind is that when it comes to Ruben Amorim, he has to make changes as quick as he can. He has to be ruthless, and he has to be given a goalkeeper that he wants. We approached Emi Martinez, Aston Villa. He would love to come to Man United, but Man United's offer was rubbish. We, therefore, were looking for a first-team goalkeeper 6 weeks ago. So all this talk of Man United don't want a first-choice goalkeeper. Well, we clearly do, but money's too tight to mention. And replacing Onana with Martinez clearly, was a financial decision. With Lammens, I personally feel, as I said this morning, that somebody like Rasmus going for a loan fee of about 6 million, plus his wages brings in a couple of million more. There's about 8 million quid there. If you do your deal with Antwerp in instalments, you've probably just covered the deal. So I think the reason that we're going for Lammens is because, one, we like him, but two, it's probably a cheaper deal achieved by being able to move somebody out. I think with Onana, we desperately want to get rid of him, but it ain't necessarily easy to do it when he's digging his feet in. But I don't think Amorim wants to use him in goal. It was reiterated again by Amorim in the press conference today that Onana was available. Onana was available for the game last week. I will read you the direct quote because I think that's always relevant. But basically, Onana was dropped. There can be no dispute about that. Onana was dropped for the game against Arsenal. So with that in context, the goalkeeping situation is very, very clear. I'm trying to find the direct quote here. This is what he said, yeah. Andre Onana is ready to play like last week. So we will see in the game who is going to be the goalkeeper. So he's ready to play like he was last week. He was dropped. For a massive game of the season against Arsenal at home, he wasn't even on the bench. So I think people need to stop dressing this up as anything else other than Amorim is making it abundantly clear that he wants a goalkeeper. Now, whether Lammens is going to come in and make amends for the goalkeeping mistakes that we've seen over the last 2 years, like what I did there, I don't know. I don't necessarily know whether that will be the case, but he is a very interesting profile of player. I expect us to get the deal done, by the way. I mean, it's a great point about Baleba. He did want to come to United. We didn't get the deal done with Brighton, but there's a very big difference between £17 million and £110 million. So who do you think will go, Mark, if Lammens comes in? It may be Bienda. I think Bienda has to be somebody that you look at as well. I mean, I don't know. It depends how risky, and I think it's a great question. It depends how risky Ruben Amorim is feeling, because if he's feeling risky in the sense that he goes Bienda over Onana again against Fulham, and then Lammens comes in and he goes Bienda again and Lammens, then basically Onana's the one that's surplus to requirements and has got to find a move. Obviously, logically, you think Onana's going to be number one again and Lammens comes in as the number two. But the flip side to that coin is, well, not necessarily. How easy is it for Bienda to go in the next 9 days than it is for Onana to go in the next 9 days? I think ultimately what it comes down to is which goalkeeper takes the hint. And whether Lammens could come in as a number one goalkeeper, I don't know. Dan says, I've got a bad feeling we'll loan him back. That's my feeling. If we do that, Dan, I'll be absolutely devastated, because this is a goalkeeper that is going to excite. I don't know loads about him. What I do know is that the scouting's very good on him. He's considered to be a goalkeeper that could be the next sort of, one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world in the next 3 to 4 years. So that's what you've got to look at. You can bring the Emi Martinez in if we can afford it. Ultimately, he's a player that's not going to be around in 3 to 4 years because of his age profile. We can't afford Donnarumma. So when you're looking for a goalkeeper, if you're not going to get Emi Martinez and you're not going to get Costa, and maybe you go for Costa next summer. I mean, I think that's a great point. I've seen many people talking about maybe you bring Lammens in, you force Onana out, and then maybe you bring Costa in next season. Maybe it's a transitional year. But I agree with Jesus. I do not see any value in loaning back Lammens to Antwerp when you're paying £17 million. So I think he will come in. Yeah, I think he will come in. Whether he's ready, I mean, I was just going to have a quick look at how many games he's played for Antwerp, because I'm as green as you are on this. I know bits about him. Look, 6'4" is very big for a goalkeeper. He's played 52 games for Antwerp, so it's not that's not too bad. Like, that is experience. All right, it's not Bundesliga or Italian league or even the French league or even La Liga. It's the Belgian league, but it's 52 games, and he's played in the Champions League. So there is a level of experience there. First things first, let's get the deal done, and then we can discuss what we'd like to do. I'm all in for bringing him in and giving him a go. I'm all in for, taking the rough with the smooth, in the sense of I expect him to be making mistakes at the start. I expect that, but I think you're looking for the future. And if this fan base can be patient, and I know it can, then, put him in goal and see how it goes. As Jorben says, Belgium produces great goalkeepers, so I'm hopeful. Great update, but where are we with the kitchen upgrades, says Viking Crypto Warrior? Well, if you take a look at my Instagram story at Goldbridge Mark, you'll see how the kitchen's going. Do you think Man United will do this deal quickly in time for the Burnley game, says Graham? Well, that's not necessarily that quickly because the Fulham game is this weekend. I would expect it to be done for the Burnley game, considering the Burnley game will be pretty much a day before the transfer window is closed. Do we even have offers for either of them? We'll just have to take whatever off we get for either of them. Neither exactly in demand, says Slack. I think he's talking about the goalkeepers there, obviously, Bienda and Onana. I think one of them is going to have to go, whether it's a loan deal or not. I mean, could you loan Onana and cover off some of his wages? You're never going to sell. I mean, that's a great point. Maybe you loan Onana. Maybe you bring Lammens in and you loan Onana because you're never going to get value for Onana. It's going to be a book loss. We only bought him 2 years ago, so it'll be a book loss. So maybe you loan Onana, you cover off some of his wages, and you justify it that way. Connor, the Plane Spotter, thank you. Welcome to the Members Club. Appreciate that. Nicholas says, good luck for tonight match. Can't watch with you because it's only for the UK. We do have a non-live stream watch-along. So there's the live match stream, and there's a watch-along stream, so you can watch if you're not in the UK and Ireland. Some people have been quite creative how they're going to watch it, even though they're not in the UK and Ireland, but we're not going to talk about that. Also, Chelsea West Ham's on as well, so it's a bit of a double watch-along. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Hi, Mark. My son Kamal turned 17 today. He's a huge supporter of the United Stand and Man United. Shout out from you would make his day. Happy birthday to Kamal, and thank you very much for being a member of this community, mate. Hope you have a great day. Say hi to my wife, Raquel, listening. Says LA Red Devil Loyal. Hello, Raquel. Bienda probably goes now, says Asisio. I don't know. I think, as per my preview last night, I think Bienda will be in goal on Sunday because I think that Amorim is loyal to his players. And Amorim was very loyal to Bienda after the game. And bar the mistake, and it was a costly mistake, was he that bad? I mean, I gave him a 5. I didn't think his whole game was terrible. I don't think he's good enough to be our goalkeeper, but I don't know what you think. I don't think Bienda's whole game was awful. I just don't think he's good enough, and he cost us the game. So against Fulham, I think Amorim will put Bienda in goal, knowing that Lammens is on the way, because I think if he drops Bienda like he dropped Onana, he's showing indecision in the goalkeeping area. And what if Onana comes in and makes a mistake? So I think I'd play Bienda with the, stance that I don't want Onana, and I'll stick with Bienda. I think he might stick with Bienda. I think I might be completely wrong, but if I know Amorim like I think I do, I think he'll stick to his guns on Bienda with the prospect of bringing Lammens in, because let's be clear, there might be a very clever master plan here. If you bring Lammens in and Onana's number 1, that's a big pressure to take Onana's shirt. If you bring Lammens in and you replace Bienda with Lammens, it's psychologically for the fans not such a big change, is it? Because you sort of go, well, Bienda was a backup anyway, he wasn't that good, and Lammens comes in, so it might work that well. Do you think the midfielder or goalkeeper are not crucial to get in this season instead of next? Do you think the midfield or a goalkeeper are not crucial? I think they're both crucial, Ivan. I'm going to talk about the midfielder in a minute. I passed all my GCSEs. I'm so happy, says MJW. Well done to that, mate. Thank you very much for telling us, and congratulations. Like Schofield says, do you think Lammens comes in as the starting keeper? I think if Bienda stays in goal and Lammens comes in, I think there's a great chance that he could come in as the starting goalkeeper. We needed to do this. We had to bring in his replacement to get him out, says Tony. Thank you very much. What do you mean by deal agreed? I'm refreshing Ornstein and Romano and I can't find anything. Well, Andre, if you tuned in on time and you listened, you'd understand that Fabrizio Romano has basically said that Lammens has given a yes to Manchester United. So deal agreed with Lammens, terms agreed, whatever you want to call it. We now have to go and get deal done with Royal Antwerp. But as we know this summer, the big thing for Manchester United predominantly has been getting the deal done with the player. When are you going to make good content again, says Bob. Oh, hilarious, Bob. Getting either Lammens or a midfielder done relatively quickly would have to happen to give us a good chance of achieving both targets, says Emily Derry. He'll probably get loaned back. That was from Dan Davey. Sorry for the typo, says... God, I'm trying to whiz through these. Bloody hell. Sorry for the typo, says LA Red Devil. Do we even have offers for either of them? We'll just take whatever we get for either of them. Neither is exactly in demand, says Siak. Do you think Man United will do this deal quickly? Done that one. Great update, done that one. I remember hearing during the Arsenal game from the commentators claiming Onana's absence was due to a hamstring. I could be wrong, though. Well, no, you are wrong, Dave, because, as I said, Ruben Amorim literally said he was available for the game against Arsenal. So, Lammens will 100% be our number one. It's clear Onana's been frozen out, says Nick. As fans, we need to support Lammens. He's young and raw, but this is Amorim's choice. Exactly, Nick. I hope you're right on that, by the way. Do you think this long ball from the keeper out straight to get up to the striker is a tactical decision that don't work, or is it due to Onana, says YNGK? Well, look, we've got a 6'4" striker, so maybe that's what it's to do with. I like Lammens, but Costa has immediate impact. Probably can't afford him, Ray. What about midfield? We'll talk about that in a moment, JB. Unpopular, but I'd rather keep Onana with Lammens, says Jacob. If I had to pick between who I'd get rid of Onana and keep Binder as the backup. And then give Lammens a season and then see where you are in the summer. And maybe you go with Costa then. Does this mean midfield is unlikely if we're going for the cheaper goalkeeper? I'm excited for Bayern versus Leipzig, says KMD. Williams, thank you very much for your super chat. Comex Space Terror. I'm planning on going to the Bournemouth game in December and was wondering what seat you would suggest, Stretford End or Sir Alex Ferguson. Love the show, says Comic. If you're going for the first time, I don't think it really matters, but I think most people would say go in the Stretford End, but you're behind the goal then. If you like to be looking at the game side on, then don't go in the Stretford End. Mark Casado from Barca for 35 million. It's not happening though, is it, William? Congratulations on the Bundesliga TV rights. This is monumental, says J Deep. I'm not reading the other bit. Why not Donnarumma, says Dan? Because it's too expensive, mate. Every keeper makes a mistake. Unfortunately, it costs us the game. However, it gives me more confidence than Onana, says Graham on Binder. Congratulations on the Bundesliga deal. Hope this doesn't mean we will see less of you on the United stand, says yeah. No, only on a Friday night. We'll just do it a little bit earlier or later. Stupid autocorrect. I meant, do you think goalkeeper or midfielder is more crucial to bring in Sessi? We've got to get, again, I would repeat again, Ivan. I think we need both. Would be some gamble to go with Lammens as the number one, says Robert McCormack. I think there is an element of cost here, Robert, as well, isn't there? I mean, ideally, we wanted Martinez. And ideally, I think we would want Martinez. But I also think that it's very much going to be around budget now. I got my maths results, reset results back, and I was 1 mark off a pass. Wish me good for the remark. Hopefully you get it, says Martini. Hopefully you do. Never done this before, but I'm watching you always, just never live, always watch later. But today I'm here. Powell, thank you very much. I always like to use these milestone messages as a chance to thank you for the mods in the community. This is Michael Doherty. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, look, we have to wait and see what happens with Lammens, but it's certainly better than we were this morning. I mean, it happened on the morning show, but at 10 o'clock this morning, we weren't even in talks with the goalkeeper as far as we know. So that's one down the road, hopefully very, very soon. I hope it doesn't drag on for the next few days and they kill the transfer window with it. United sometimes do that. This deal could get done quite quickly. If we carry on doing it for the next 4 or 5 days, it's going to jeopardise a midfielder, which maybe they can't afford to do. On a midfielder, I still feel hopeful. I can't say I feel confident, but I feel hopeful. It's a necessity. It really is. But as I said this morning, if Stiller's not happening and Yulman's not happening and Wharton can't happen, where do you go? Because I really do think that it's a tough one to call, because we've not got that long left in the window, and it's essential that we get a midfielder. So look, I don't know is the honest answer. I think we've been very I wouldn't say fortunate, but it's good that we have got a bit of news today around a goalkeeper. United tend to be one deal at a time. So, it's, I don't know what we're going to do with the midfielder. I know we're looking for a midfielder. That's not just because of the Belabor thing, but I think it's hard to be hard to guess what's going to happen. I mean, Simon Jones in the Mail is saying that Lammens is expected to compete with Onana, whose future has been in question. United will need cover as Onana is likely to miss part of the season. Meanwhile, Napoli are continuing to push for agreement. I think there is a bit of look, maybe it is coming from the club. I don't know, but I think just going back to that, there seems to be a complete and utter contradiction. It's like some journalists, especially UK journalists, are talking about Lammens coming in as a backup for Onana, and completely ignoring the fact that Ruben Amorim dropped Onana completely for the first game of the season. So I think there is a little bit of a contradiction there, and I also think it's a bit of guesswork unless they're being briefed, because I genuinely don't think Onana should start on Sunday, and I'm not convinced that he will. So if Biunda is starting the first 2 games of the Premier League season, that's a huge message to Onana that, you know, the manager doesn't rate you. So I think that, look, we'll have to wait and see. Let's get Lammens done first. Hopefully there's going to be time to get a midfielder too. Jack says Onana wasn't dropped. Jack, you can do your little laughy face emojis and you can try and rage bait the chat, but if you actually followed the club like we do and you listen to evidence, Ruben Amorim this afternoon said Onana, like the last game, is available. So if it wasn't dropped for the Arsenal game when he was available, I'd love to know what your justification of dropping is when the manager said he was available for the Arsenal game. You know, we can only follow information that is factual. Speculating on theories when the manager said he was available for Arsenal, well, what's the point? What do you think about Nuno getting the sack at Forest? Incredible if it's going to happen. Absolutely incredible, but, you know. Goldio, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Sorry, he's been a member for 9 months. Why so much priority on a goalkeeper instead of a midfielder, says Chin? Mate, look, you know what? The midfield is where games are won and lost. But we lost at the weekend because of the goalkeeper. We lost a lot of points last season because of the goalkeeper. My feeling is that both are essential. You may have a priority personally, but my feeling is that both are essential. So, yeah. If Forest go for Ange, what do you think? Well, this is the United stand, but I mean, Forest have done really, really well with Nuno, and Ange's playing style is completely different, and it didn't work very well in the Premier League, did it? So I don't know. Look, maybe we can talk about that on That's Football. What traits do you think a player needs to succeed when coming to the Premier League from another league? Says Gaz. What increases their chances of success? I mean, it's a very broad stroke question, mate. It depends on position. It depends on mentality. It depends on, you know, age. It depends on what league they're coming in from. I think that's a few things. Casemiro should be mentoring Mainu, says Keel. Neither can get in the team. Shane, thank you very much for gifting a membership. Would be some gamble to go with Lammens number 1, says Robert. Okay. Right, we are going to be on That's Football very, very soon for the start of the Bundesliga season with live coverage of Bayern Munich against RB Leipzig. So you will be pushed over there from here. It's UK and Ireland only, but there is going to be a stream without that as well. So if you go to That's Football and go to the thumbnail that says watch along, there'll be no footage on that one, but there will be a watch along. If you go to the one that says live match, you'll be able to watch it there. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Quick show tonight. Nearly 20,000 of you watching. Please do support us over on That's Football because it is a groundbreaking thing to do it with a fan content provider. I'll speak to you a bit later. Thanks for watching.